This is Dumbed Down Life, number 123.
I hear podcasts.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Darren. How are you?
Just as I open my mouth to say good evening, I realise that not everyone's going to be listening in the evening.
This is true.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, sir. How you doing?
Hot and bothered.
Bothered?
Bothered.
Sir? Why bothered?
I'm going to be that bloke.
Oh, no.
It's too hot.
It's too hot. What I was going to ask you about was how are you coping? Because was it a 2 mile... We went through this before, but was it 2 mile walk at one end and a mile walk at the other, or was it 2 mile in?
It's 2 miles there and 2 miles back. There's just about a mile between stations.
And how are you coping?
Oh, the mornings are fine.
Yeah. Because what time do you go to work in the morning?
I leave the house at 5:15.
Yeah, so it's not dark at the moment, but it's still sensible walking temperature, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, some mornings I'll walk to work and need my hoodie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's a bit fresh first thing in the morning.
It's grim up north.
Not a hoodie as in I wear the hood, but just something on my sleeves, and it's something on my arms rather, and it's lighter than a coat, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming home, it's horrible. And
because the other problem with the hoodie is that you then have to carry the damn thing on the way home.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's sort of sitting in my work bag, and the bag's heavy, and it's not pleasant. And the train air conditioning is not the best air conditioning in the world.
The train air conditioning for me is fine, and it's not a particularly busy train. I'm going against the flow.
We see. I tend to sit in the aisleways between the carriages because I only use one stop. It's pointless me going in and finding a seat and then having to get up and come out again. I literally just walk through the door and sit down. They've got 2 little seats in that sort of aisleway, and I just tend to sit there because it's just less hassle. I'm literally on the train for 7 minutes.
But then that area
isn't air conditioned. No.
Yeah. No. We're looking at usage of the car, and when we're what originally was happening was that we were driving down to the station, leaving the car at the station, and then both of us getting on the train.
Right.
And then it was like, well, if we're paying over the cost of me getting the train another stop, then I might as well leave Jude at the station and then drive to work.
Yep.
And then drive back and then pick her up from the station later in the evening. It works out to be cheaper. However, what works out even cheaper is if we both walk to the station and then both get the train. And we've come out with all these great intentions of, yes, that's exactly what we'll do. And then in the evening we can both take a leisurely walk back. And no.
Well, so you're pretty good when it comes to walking, though, aren't you? Or you were?
I am. There's generally a reason not to walk, though. That's the problem. Tonight Jude's actually out with some work colleagues for a drink. So I've walked to the station this morning, took the train to work, took the train back, walked back. And then when Jude gives me the text message, I'm going to have to drive down to the station to pick her up. So it's not the full benefit of doing the walks today. But then after doing that for the first time in this heat, we're going to sleep pretty well tonight.
Yes.
And then in the morning you wake up possibly a bit too late to walk. And it's... You've got to get into the swing of things. You've got to get into the habit of doing things.
Well,
I think making that habit is the difficult bit.
I'm sort of lucky in the fact that, as we talked about last week, I don't really have a choice in the matter. Yeah, so it's just kind of this is what I do. I do think with weather such as this, if the car was on the road, I think I would be using it with the air conditioning on full.
Yeah. But do you take any sort of change of clothes and stuff, or how do you deal with that?
Uh, no, not really, because again, I don't get
If the
hot and
problem's on
sweaty
your
on the
way
way to
home,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, by the time I get home, I can sort of get changed there, and at work, I don't get too hot on the way in, so it's not really that much of an issue.
Because I've dabbled with the idea of, rather than getting the train to work, is actually walking the entire 6 miles to the office, for fitness sake as well as saving the money. But it then comes to, okay, after a 6 mile walk at 7 o'clock in the morning, you will need to have a shower at the other end
Yes.
and a set of clothes to change into. And I don't like having a bag with me. So having a bag full of my clothes I'm going to take, and then having the shower, and then it all becomes too much. So
It's more hassle than it's worth, isn't it?
I don't know about than it's worth. Again, you could get used to it, and it would give you benefits.
Or the other way would be just on the Monday, take a week's worth of clothes on Monday, and then bring it all back on Friday. So the rest of the week you're just walking as you normally would.
I have to find myself a wardrobe to use at work.
You're listening to Dumbed Down Life.
So cast your mind back to very early on in our recording history, when there used to be three of us.
Yes.
Doug did a talk about lyricosis.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, women must have damn near killed you.
that's the one. Yes. Well, there was a post online on BBC earlier on this week. It caught my eye, and I thought, we've done that. There's been a survey of the most misheard lyrics in pop music. And some of them, they only give 4 or 5 examples, but some of them absolutely boggle my mind. Because,
Such as?
well, Sweet Dreams, the Eurythmics, right?
Sweet dreams are made of cheese.
You saw it, did you?
It's like, what?
What? Exactly.
Who
I mean,
honestly thought that was... Yeah.
especially when, and 3 or 4 of the examples are identical to this, especially when they're mishearing the title of the song.
I don't know as much as whether it's mishearing as missinging. Because I know some songs I purposefully sing the wrong words.
I personally just think that people are fooling around with the survey.
Well, was any of them your socks are on fire?
No, I'll give you the list.
Because certainly when we're in the car and there's certain people of a minor age in the car, and that plays on the radio, you have to belt it out. You have to sing along to that particular song.
I mean, there's the whole sort of parody thing, isn't there?
Your socks are on fire. What? Sorry.
So there's a whole parody thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's like American Pie, the Star Wars version that.
Yeah.
It was Weird Al. But yeah, you sometimes you just can't help yourself. But that's a completely different thing, isn't it? But I mean, it's like Sweet Dreams are made of cheese. The title of the song is Sweet Dreams are made of this.
Yeah.
There's Rihanna, We Found Love. And people have heard it saying, we found Dove in a soapless place.
That must have been used as a commercial.
Sure, it's got to have been, unless somebody's just messing with them.
Yeah.
Constant Craving by K.D. Lang was Can't Stand Gravy. Yeah. And Dude Looks Like a Lady is Do It Like a Lady.
Well, that one I can understand.
I still can't, because it's the title of the song. The only one to me on this list that makes sense as a misheard is It Doesn't Make a Difference If We're Naked or Not, from Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer.
Living on a Prayer.
Which should be It Doesn't Make a Difference If We Make It or Not. I can understand that because it's not the title of the song.
Yeah.
And it kind of fits.
Yeah.
Why would Rihanna be singing about finding Dove in a soapless place?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense in the context of the song, does it? That line kind of does.
Along the same sort of lines, I was having a conversation the other day how for many, many years I thought that Paul Simon was Chevy Chase.
Do you know? So did I.
Because
I'd
thinking
never.
back, it was starting to get the era of MTV, which is why there was the video.
Yeah.
But prior to that, unless you actually had Paul Simon albums, which my parents didn't have and I didn't have,
No.
you wouldn't have seen him, really. He wasn't the sort to appear on Top of the Pops.
Absolutely.
There weren't other videos around. And so the first video that we ever see was You Could Call Me Out, and there's Chevy Chase.
Absolutely. And
lip syncing.
And being of the age where I didn't really know who Chevy Chase was.
Yeah, because a lot of these films weren't aimed at our age demographic at the time.
I'd kind of heard of Simon and Garfunkel, but didn't really know who they were. I think I knew Art Garfunkel more than I knew Paul Simon because of Bright Eyes.
Right, yes.
From Watership Down.
Yep.
So I think I kind of knew him more than I knew Paul Simon. So when you hear Paul Simon Call Me Out, you've got this guy singing and this other guy mucking around. The guy that's singing is the guy that's singing on the record, isn't he?
Yep, exactly.
Absolutely. I'm totally with you.
Sort of one step beyond the misheard lyric.
it's a miss-seen artist.
I can't think of any other sort of videos that have done that, because generally if they do lip syncing like that, it's a blatant lip sync where either it's audience or it's lots of different people that keeps changing the face.
Like Rockstar, the Nickelback song.
Nickelback Rockstar, or Michael Jackson Black and White, and all that sort of thing, where it's quite clearly not the artist that's actually performing. But that particular track, Chevy Chase sings it throughout the whole thing. Of course, if we had listeners under the age of 20 or under the age of 30, they'd be saying, Paul who?
Paul Simon, who's Chevy Chase?
Hi, this is Scott Segler, author of the novels Infected and Contagious, and you are listening to Dumbed Down Life.
So, talking about things that happened a long time ago, I've recently got myself into what is to me a new TV series.
Go on.
And I think it's one that you used to watch quite a lot. BattleStar Galactica.
Oh, don't waste your time. Don't waste your life.
Well, the thing is, I'm kind of pre-warned because I already know how it ends because there was such a fuss about it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of prepared, and I don't think I'll be reaching the levels of disappointment that everybody else did because I kind of already know. But the thing is, knowing how it ends, and I'm only sort of halfway through the second season, knowing how it ends, you can kind of see it coming.
Well,
because they're all talking always about God.
But I don't think the writers saw it coming.
I've done a bit of research, and no, they didn't. They've openly admitted, unlike shows like Lost, where they claim to have had the whole thing planned out in sort of the most basic way, and then they just embellish it each season with actual episodes. They've got the core plot. Battlestar openly admitted, no, we kind of made it up as we went along, which kind of gives you the impression when they got to the end, they thought, crap, how do we end this?
Well, they made it up as they went along, but they did sort of loose tie-ins with the original series, which those were the ones that I liked.
The two that I've spotted so far, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be spoiling anything for anybody. There's no spoilers coming up here. It finished 4 years ago, I think, or something.
Not in it now. Tough luck.
There's one of the guys, the freedom fighter. I'm sitting there thinking, I've seen him in something else. What have I seen him in? Turns out it's the original Apollo.
Yes.
The guy that plays Adama.
Yes.
Is
George Alamos or
something like that, yeah. Because I mean, one of the major points of the show is telling the human robots from the normal humans.
Yeah.
He was in Blade Runner.
He was.
He's the guy that makes the origami birds and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite interesting.
I hadn't thought of that.
And I've just watched the one. I don't know how well you remember them, but when they had the news crew on filming them, a sort of a day in the life on Battlestar.
Yep.
And the music that they play over the documentary when it's being shown is the original Battlestar theme.
Ah, that's cool. And I don't remember that sort of a link. The sort of thing that I remember more is the actual stories rather than the individual bits.
Yeah, there's an homage to when Starbuck gets stranded for God knows how long in the original series.
Yep.
When the new Starbuck gets stranded for an episode or two, doesn't she?
And I'm sorry if this is a spoiler for you, but at one point they will meet or have met another Battlestar.
That's coming up.
That's coming up. Okay.
I've kind of read ahead a little bit because I'm not that worried about spoilers because
and
it's already over. It's in about 3 or 4 episodes from where I am now. Another Battlestar turns up, and
that does mirror a similar story in the original series.
Right.
So that sort of thing was quite nice. And also much later on, the original Cylons turn up.
Oh, do they?
Or show up. They only have sort of a cameo appearance, but it's like, yes!
Well, right at the beginning, there was a schematic drawing one of the guys was flipping through or something, and that was of an original Cylon.
Yep.
I noticed that. I'm not sure I like the new Cylons, the robotic versions.
They seem extremely CGI.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
They're quite obvious CGI, not particularly good CGI.
Yeah.
I'd see. I never seeing that series all the way through really put me off, and so I didn't then go on to watch Caprica. Was it Caprica 12 or something? There was a follow-on series.
Yeah, there was a spin-off, wasn't there?
Which I just no, they didn't seem to finish it properly for me.
Apparently, there was also a web series of something else to do with Battlestar Galactica that wasn't either of the original show or Caprica.
Oh, right. No, I don't remember that. But having done the sort of research, were they cancelled or did they just get bored with it, or what happened?
I don't know. That I don't know. When I say research, I'm looking up, who's that, and
right.
Trying to find. I mean, I've spoiled quite a few things for me because I know who one of the other humanoid Cylons is. Yeah, and just by reading sort of character biographies, it obviously goes into later on in the seasons to where I've got to.
Yeah.
So,
well, with regards to the actors, it's interesting sometimes to go back and look at old series. Sorry, well, you're looking at an old series now, and you'll see people who have gone on to do other things. Oh, that's them, and also what you're watching now. You'll see some actors from the Star Trek series.
Oh, really?
Various different Star Trek series. They pop up throughout this. And it's a good series, but each episode on its own is quite good. But then the way that they tied it up, for me, unfortunately, spoiled it completely.
You're listening to Dumbed Down Life.
So how much longer do you think this weather's going to last?
Hopefully not too much longer.
So have you not got anything planned if it's a nice sunny weekend then? No?
Well, I've got my daughter, so I'm sure we'll end up down the park or something.
Well, I hope it stays nice-ish. Not too hot for you, so you don't have to sit in the shade with, under an umbrella and stuff. And, we will hopefully talk again next week.
Ta-ra. That'll do.
Something a bit different.
Yeah. That kind of works for me.
Yeah.
Right. In that case, excuse me.
With that,
I shall talk to you later.
Yep. Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.